think I also should make a comment on the recent debate that we have seen about the money printing. I think this is good that this debate has come out. This actually came out from one of the statements made by one of the websites regularly making one of the statements, rupee 100 billion money printed by the central bank through open market operations. That usually we ignore this kind of statement, but this time this statement has escalated to a different level of public debate. And as we have seen a lot of discussions, I think this is good, very positive development, healthy debate. Now I have seen there is a much better understanding of central bank monetary operations in terms of liquidity management, in terms of monetary financing. I think that's a very positive development. I must thank people who contribute to the debate. I see a lot of the think tanks, analysts, journalists are now talking about it. Let me make clear our understanding. I think central bank is supposed to have a best understanding of what we do. It's our responsibility to explain these technically difficult things in a simple manner. So the first point I have to make is that under the new Central Banking Act, there's no room for direct monetary financing, which means the Minister of Finance cannot influence to finance the budget deficit through direct monetary financing. This is prohibited under the new Central Bank Act. So it has not happened since, I think, 2023. It will not happen going forward. So that's the first point I want to make. There will be no direct monetary financing, what we called earlier refers to money printing directly by the central bank. Having said that, all the time, central bank has a responsibility through our open market operations to manage day-to-day liquidity in the domestic rupee market, with interbank market. We have been doing this several years. This open market operation was introduced, very active open market operation, I think back in 2002. This has nothing to do with the direct monetary financing. It's all about providing sufficient liquidity for our in the interbank market, mainly under current monetary framework. But we want to target, and our instrument is short-term interest rates in the interbank market, what we call call money rate. So our objective is to maintain the call money rate in the interbank market at a rate that we think most appropriate in our view for the current monetary policy stance. For example, if we think, as you know, we announced this policy rate dual band, deposit rates and the lending rates by the central bank. We want to maintain short-term call rates in between where we think most appropriate for the time being, looking at the future monetary policy actions, looking at the future inflation. That is a key monetary policy transmission. Happens through maintaining call rate where central bank wants to maintain. This is all over the world. This is a monetary policy framework. This is how we all central banks practice. It's not nothing new for Central Bank of Sri Lanka. With the inflation targeting framework, we have now established where our decision to maintain the liquidity at certain levels, our desire to maintain short-term call rates at a certain level is completely independent, as has no influence at all from anyone else. It is central bank independent decision. But I must make sure that right now debate is that, because of this the political elections, I can see that has escalated to a different level, interpreting these open market operations also influenced by the fiscal authorities. I have to make sure, I must emphasize, there's no fiscal dominance and influence for our open market operations. We have never had, even in the past. Open market operations were conducted independently by the central bank. We will continue to do that, and that's how we do it. So when we are doing it, our key objective in the short term is to maintain, as I said, call rates within the corridor and at the rates that we think most desirable for the future monetary policy or transition of monetary policy into the broad economy. While doing so, we certainly inject or absorb short-term liquidity with an intention to maintain call rate at the level that, for example, right now is closer to the lower bound of 8.25, it's moving closer. So we want to maintain at this range because it's an accommodative monetary policy stance. We don't want very sharp volatility in short-term rates. We have everything appropriate. If we think there is a pressure in the interbank market, that short-term rates is going to move around, going to be volatile, we certainly intervene by injecting liquidity in the short term, overnight or weekly basis, with that objective. That's where from time to time, and there are several ways we inject liquidity in the market to stabilize short-term rates. One is our foreign exchange operations. When you buy foreign exchange from the market, we certainly inject rupees into the interbank market. That will create some liquidity in the market, and at the same time, some other operations. Currency in circulation, currency going out of the system, create a deficit in the interbank market. The credit deployment by the commercial banks create some liquidity shortage in the interbank market. That is where we assess this on day-to-day basis. We estimate liquidity on daily and weekly and monthly basis. We have planned what kind of injection we need to, what kind of intervention we need in the forex domestic rupee market. Accordingly, we intervene independently without any influence from anyone else. Just I want to make sure at this point. And when some people see our interventions, looking at only one part of that, interpreting that this is money printing. And also I want to ensure through operations, we will not want undue monetary expansion, which is what was happening before this act. When the Minister of Finance write a letter to buy directly the treasury bills of the central bank, there's no control on the monetary expansion, direct purchasing. We don't have that. Even this market operations, we are mindful about the unnecessary expansive monetary base that we take into consideration while having a short-term objective of maintaining short-term interest rates where we think appropriate. So that is clarification I would like to make here, because it's our responsibility to explain what we do and for all of you to understand what our operations, how those are basically taking place, and what independence and of the central bank, how we operate. So that's where I think, as my earlier statement, this is not unusual, and under the best monetary framework we ever had, we are operating in that framework, and this is a prudent practice of all the central banks around the world to manage day-to-day liquidity in the domestic currency markets.